hope that even if you can't see me in the dark, you can hear me. I'm in Peterborough, and welcome to this nighttime tour. This is quite a large square in the middle of Peterborough, and behind me is the cathedral, and I'm in Peterborough for a particular reason, and the reason is property, and you'll find out more about that in a moment. But first of all, let's look round Peterborough at night. The place where I do all my property training is a few miles from here, but I've come into town tonight to get something to eat, and I've found a Wetherspoons, of course. So let's go to my first property video for some time, and this is about a room in my Wallasey HMO and how we made it into an ensuite. This is the story of a year in the life of one of my letting rooms, starting with when a tenant did a runner, owing a month's rent. He'd broken the lock on the door, he'd damaged the wardrobe, so it had to be completely taken apart and taken away, and he left stuff everywhere, including a load of loose change. Our plans for this room, and also eventually all our rooms hopefully, are to add an ensuite, and we identified the left-hand alcove as a place to build this. Also, the high ceilings from this 19th century property have been huge during the last 18 months, so we decided to try and insulate the room better and lower the ceiling. We decided that the picture rail was a good line to work with, and we started to plan the layout of the room. This is room 2 in this house, and in room 3 next door is a woman who has left all her stuff all over the house. She's got far too much stuff just to live in one room, and now she's discovered this room is not only empty but unlocked. She starts to dump her stuff in here, and she drives her washing here too. We have to frequently point out to her that she's only renting a room. She says there's not enough storage. In November 2022, Colin and I had changed places. He's normally in Bulgaria and I'm in Britain. At this time I was in Bulgaria, and he took these pictures of the beams being put in to support the ceiling. Back from Bulgaria, and I get some plasterboard delivered. I check on our stocks of insulation. We always seem to have some left over from previous jobs, and Bob starts to put the new ceiling in. As he works his way across the room, he has to put the insulation in after every strip of plasterboard, because he won't be able to get back into that area later on unless he's got extremely long arms. The insulation is all slightly different colours because it's all leftovers so far from different jobs, but eventually we have to order some more. We're taking the lighting feed for the downlights from the pendant fitting that was already up there, and this is the fitting we're going to use for our downlights. It's one we haven't tried before, but it's supposed to be ideal for plasterboard. We've been busy trying to finish this ceiling by Christmas, while our neighbours next door have been busy doing Christmas, and very nice it looks too. The downlighters are now working, and we've got the cubicle taking shape in the left-hand alcove. The sun's very low this time of year, so we've got some interesting shadows being cast across the room, and we can just about make out the work that's going on. The cubicle gets stuffed with insulation as well, and now the hot and cold water pipes for the shower are being put in. We had an old internal door left from a job at another property and knew it would come in useful sometime. Well, there it is. We have a plywood base for the floor, which we're going to need to take up again when we put in plumbing for the toilet and sink. It's time to skim the ceiling ready for painting, and also to skim the outside of the new cubicle so that can be painted. Up to now we've been using fairly low budget fire doors on our rooms, these white ones, and we've decided as we upgrade each room it will now get an oak fire door. So we take off any necessary door furniture and transfer it to the new oak door. The existing fireproof hinges are reused on the new door, and they're put in the same place to save any extra work. The fire regulations also require us to have a closer on our fire doors, and hopefully this won't creak as much when we've given it a bit of oil. We clear out the room ready for the final painting, and I buy a chrome pull bar for the shower door because up to now it was difficult to get in. We fitted some smart sockets. These can be monitored and controlled from an app, and as you'll see later we also put in wireless bulbs in the downlighters. In the last quick refurb we did on this room, we created a feature wall in a colour that looked okay on the tin. It was called Mocha. On the wall didn't look so great, so we're changing that right away. And the original landlord colours are now replaced by white paint because we think it's brighter. This is the tongue and groove PVC cladding going in, and this will be the final thing we do on the cubicle before we cleared the room once again for the carpet fitters. This is of course the new shower. You just stand in front of these two jets and you get washed. No, we better spend some more money on that then. With all the renovations I've done to this property over the years, I've always tried to retain the original floorboards because people like them basically. But now the time has come to carpet. It's sound deadening as well, so it stops people's tramping about in their bedroom, disturbing people below. Sorry to all the people who do like the old floorboards to be retained, but to me this looks like a really clean, modern room, and I'm very pleased with it. The woman who was renting room 3 and overspills has finally gone, which is good news because we needed access to that room to bring the plumbing through from our new cubicle. We're now able to put the plumbing in at the floor level for the toilet and for the sink and take it through into the next room. Now where does it go from here? You will see. With the shower mixer now in place, Bob takes up the floorboards in room 3, and that's where we're going to run the plumbing and the soil pipe out to the outside world. The hot and cold water pipes are taken through another wall into our boiler room, and all this piping will get boxed in at a later date. There's no way to fix the cloakroom sink to UPVC panels, so we have to break through to the wall behind to fit this sink. We've left provision for toilet facilities in room 3 as well, and the soil pipe's going to stick up for now until we know exactly what's going in here. Time to put the furniture back in the room and get it ready for renting. Checking that the wireless bulbs are working before we fix the smart buttons to the wall, and that's just about it. I think we're ready to advertise. I'm busy putting together a little video for the website and to advertise the room online, and Bob is doing the finishing touches to the plumbing outside, where we put a brand new soil pipe in all the way down to the ground. And while he was still doing this, the advert went live and we very quickly got a tenant in place. There's a little bit about property education in this particular feature as we visit Peterborough, where there's a big training centre, and other kinds of trains are the ones that take us up and down the East Coast Main Line. You'll see some of those too. But first let's go into a local shopping arcade in the centre of Peterborough, and it's quite an old-fashioned one, not like the modern malls. I hope they never decide to modernise this, and as you can see, it's nearly Halloween. So come to Peterborough with my bag packed and all my winter clothes in. Haven't needed any of them. It's the middle of October and it's absolutely sweltering out here, and as you probably gathered, I'm out playing trains at the moment. Unfortunately, Rail World I should call it, sorry, is closed, so I can't go and see that, but we had a peep at it through the railings. So I'll just have to stay here and watch the trains come into Peterborough station. A couple of overhead bridges from different routes here, so keep seeing different trains. It's very easy to travel here by public transport. There's a straight train from Liverpool Lime Street to Norwich, which stops at Peterborough. Rather a noise. That's rail freight going past at the moment, so I won't be catching that one. And then as you get into Peterborough station, the bus station is just opposite across the main road. So there's a footbridge going across. You go into the Queensgate shopping centre and the bus station is inside there, and you just go down an escalator from the shopping centre and you're in the bus station. You couldn't see that from here, but there was a mainline train, probably a mile an hour, going past on the other bridge. So I'll just move over there and try and get a shot of that. If I don't manage it, then we'll be at the station later on anyway. Just the other side of the dual carriageway from the railway station, you'll find this pub, the Brewery Tap. So I'll have to come back to Peterborough when I've got some spare time to not only eat the Thai food, but enjoy the live music. These freight trains go on forever, so while that's happening, let's have some of my bits and pieces, because I do collect things as I go along that don't fit into anything else. So they fit here, bits and pieces. First I'm going to take you back a few months to when the Open Golf Tournament was on in Hoylake on the Wirral. The weather was pretty foul back then, and I spotted this decoration on the Morton Cross roundabout, which is a couple of stations down the line from Hoylake. So here's where we are on the map at Morton. We're going to travel down on the train to Hoylake. We're not interested in the golf, but we're going to have a quick look at some scarecrows. No, the label should be on the other one. That was definitely a very mini feature about scarecrows. Maybe do some more another time, but we're down under. Well, we were this time last year anyway. We spent nearly a month in Australia, and I came back and actually broadcast the videos over the following 6 months. There was an awful lot going on while we were there. As you may imagine, it's the holiday of a lifetime, so you cram as much in as possible. I'm going to be preparing a half-hour program which looks back at our whole Australia visit and gives you some of the highlights, so watch out for that in the next few months. Last month I went out to Headbolt Lane station in Kirkby to see if it was nearly ready, and being down in Peterborough I missed the opening at the beginning of October. The other stations that are in planning: Woodchurch on the Wirral, which is very near to where I live, Baltic in the Baltic Quarter of Liverpool, which is going to be built 2024-2025 apparently, and Skelmersdale is no longer happening because the government said they weren't going to fund it, which is a shame. It occurred to me that I'm chasing new stations and new trains all the time lately, but what about the ones that are being taken out of service? If you travel to New Brighton by train, you get some fantastic views across the front and out to sea, but this is the Mersey estuary here, and it's opening out into the Irish Sea. Eventually I discovered this bridge. You can see what the view from the train might be by looking under the bridge, and I did get my little piece of film of one of the old Merseyrail trains going past. While we're in the New Brighton area, let's wander along the promenade to Vale Park and see what the man who makes things out of driftwood has been up to. Every time I go here there is something new. Quick look round. And in case you've never realised before, this park is right on the riverfront, so you get views across the river from here, and if you're walking along the prom you'll come across Vale Park, and you'll probably find me in the cafe having a little snack. If you keep walking along the promenade past Vale Park and towards the Birkenhead end, you'll pass Seacombe Ferry. This is the ferry across the Mersey, and on this day a man came walking backwards into the terminal with a camera. TV cameramen do that, you know, and he was followed by a load of people singing and chanting. Now this was at the time of a full moon, but what I didn't know until I googled it was the harvest moon, and the Asians do celebrate harvest moon. It's a festival to them, so I'm assuming this chant had something to do with that. But if anybody listening who understands Asian culture could correct me on that, I'd be most obliged, because it was an interesting experience. And finally, if you were watching last month, you may recall that I took a bus trip out to IKEA at Warrington to pick up a few little things. And here's the whole journey, starting at Arrow Park Hospital, which is where we live. And the hospital has picket lines outside an awful lot these days. They get people to honk their horns as they go past. And the nurses in particular stay out there for long hours, sometimes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And all the horn blowing drives us mad because we live right opposite. So here's the buses. They all pull in here, no matter which way they go and which bus stop I might have said I get them from. Every bus going in any direction pulls into the hospital, which is very useful indeed. It takes 3 buses to get me a fairly scenic route from here to Warrington, and I need a bus to Heswall first. Now, there hasn't been one for a while, and suddenly 2 come along at once, so we head down to Heswall bus station. I spend a lot of time talking about trains and stations, I do know this. The bus enthusiasts are going to get a look in this time, because at Heswall bus station there's a pub right behind there called Johnny Pie. Now, Johnny Pie was a guy who ran a coach company from this site from 1919 to 1924. He then sold out to Crosville and went and started another one down the North Wales coast. So the Johnny Pie pub was built on the original plot where the garage was for the buses, and it's just a bus station in front these days. The next leg of my journey is down to Chester, and I said the scenic route because it goes down along the front at Park Gate, which is a beautiful area looking across at the North Wales hills. The bus company that runs this service is called Owl's Coaches. Chester bus station is a fairly large affair, and the destination board not only carries details of local buses and buses going further afield, but also of National Express coaches and of trains going out to the railway station, which is about a 10-minute walk away. While I was waiting for my Warrington bus, I saw another service in a livery you don't see these days. We've seen a stagecoach bus liveried up like a Crosville, but this is North Western, and unfortunately I didn't have a chance to go and look at it more closely, because just at this point my bus arrived and turned around almost immediately to go back to Warrington. From Warrington I need one more local bus service to take the little trip up to IKEA, and unfortunately the departures board in this bus station is so high up you'd have to be about 12 foot tall to read it, and the font is so small I don't know if you wouldn't need binoculars as well. The bus I need to get to IKEA is a number 17, but beware if you're doing this yourself, the 17 goes in 2 different directions and you have to get on the one that's going towards IKEA and not just come from there. On the way home I took a bus to Huyton and then switched to the train as it was getting a bit late, and listen to this station announcement.
This is a platform alteration. The 1847 Northern service from this station to Wigan North Western, originally due to depart from platform 4, will now depart from platform 3.
Now I'm on platform 3 waiting for my train, and the people waiting for the Wigan train are all over the other side of the rails on platform 4. This announcement came at the same time as the train actually arrived, which meant that only those who were very quick up and down over the footbridge could actually catch it. It didn't wait for the rest. A lot of people missed the train. And with that beautiful autumn sky in the background, that's my bits and pieces for October. So I came to Peterborough on a train that went from Liverpool Lime Street across the country to Norwich and dropped me off at Peterborough, and I should be taking a different route home because I want to get on one of these Azuma trains. So when I finally leave Peterborough I'll be heading up the North East main line and going as far as Doncaster, get another Azuma from Doncaster to Leeds, and then one of our wonderful Transpennine trains will take me back from Leeds to Liverpool. Earlier on I referred to a mainline train that caught my attention but was out of view of the camera. This is a picture of it. It's the Class 755. It differs from other trains in that the power unit is separate in the middle of the train. This means that the floors can be a lot lower and there's no step up from the platform. I've been coming to Peterborough for some years for my property education. There's a regular bus service down into Hampton, the area which I'm heading for, and that's where the Progressive Property Training Unit is. First, I'm going to show you some pictures from the last time I was here in 2018, and Frankie and Benny's and Chiquito are no longer here. There was a Starbucks being built at the time, that's now complete. Everything else is still here, including places like the Brewers Fair, Bella Italia and the Harvester. To get to Progressive Property and the surrounding premises, I need to go under an underpass to avoid having to try and cross a busy dual carriageway. And when I showed you this last time I was here, it had Harry Potter artwork on the walls in the underpass. That gradually wore out. I've been back a couple of times since. It started to get chipped away. People were putting their graffiti on it. So that's all been renewed now with brand new art. Progressive Property is at Hampton, which is a district just outside Peterborough, and it's largely an industrial estate with places like Handelsbank. Didn't expect to see them on here, but Progressive Property have several buildings which they bought freehold, as property investors do, and there's also a Starbucks very nearby, which is where I've come for a cup of coffee in the lunch break. Progressive Property is the largest property education company in Great Britain, and it's very successful, and all the people who teach you here have actually done everything themselves. They walk the walk, talk the talk. So that's why I come back time and time again to get up to date with the latest strategies in the property world. And it's not about property really, it's more about mindset. Got to set my mind on coming here more often. The property education I was receiving this time was to a small group of people in a room and presented from the stage, which contrasts with the way things were done back in 2016, 17 and 18 when I was here every month. That was a more focused training with individual mentors and groups of us sitting around tables discussing things and working out projects. I shouldn't leave this video without mentioning the support staff because they're very important to the whole thing, but prefer not to have their photos taken. Trains are now running from Liverpool Central out to Kirkby's Headbolt Lane. I missed the opening because I was in Peterborough, but now I'm back. I'm going to take the train. It's confirmed on the destination boards that we are definitely going there, and so let's get off on a class 777. The acronym on the screen tells you that we're in an independently powered EMU this time, and the last leg of the journey out to Headbolt Lane, the train is running on batteries. Changeover was completely seamless. I don't know when it happened. We're now travelling by train over the same route that I flew the drone a few weeks ago, and we see the same main road as we cross over the bridge and the station site coming up on the left. This service has been running a few weeks now, so you can see it's gained some popularity with the locals. They tell you shouldn't film through windows, but as modern train windows don't open, I had little choice. You'll notice as soon as I get off the train, the pictures get a lot clearer. There are 2 tracks on the Merseyrail part of the line, and then you hit the buffers, and a single track continues onto a further platform going off towards Wigan. On the day I was there, the next train going out of that platform was due to be to Blackburn. At a time when they're saying they're going to close all the ticket offices, this is a brand new one that's just been built and is doing good business. Doesn't look as though they're closing it here. Local buses are being routed into this station, so if you don't happen to live around here and you want to go into the town centre, then the buses are right outside. The next new railway station to be built on the Merseyrail network is at Baltic Triangle in the centre of Liverpool, near the cathedral in fact, but it's now more than just a plan. Building commences in 2024 with a projected opening in 2025. Looking even further into the future, Liverpool's Metro Mayor says he wants a station at Woodchurch on the Wirral. From Arrow Park, you follow Woodchurch Road down across the motorway, and there's a railway bridge just there. We'll look at that in a minute. And you follow Woodchurch Road up towards Birkenhead. They're building a new Audi. I've also got some pictures of that. I can only see one suitable place for a railway station myself. We'll look at that in a minute. But first of all, the trains for this line. It's probably a sign of my age, but this girl doesn't look old enough to drive this. It's a London tube train. It's what they were calling D-stock. And of course, the north is used to getting the hand-me-downs from the south, and this is how the D-stock turned out for us, the Class 230 on the Bidston to Wrexham line. They kept some of the inward-facing seats. As you probably know, tube trains have all inward-facing seats, but most of these trains have got perfectly normal seating arrangements, and surprisingly for a suburban train, they also have tables. And of course, like all modern trains, there's charging points at every seat. So back to the map. I've marked the M53, I've marked the Wrexham to Bidston line, and I've marked Woodchurch Road, and this is the point where I see a station fitting in. Let's go in and have a closer look at this. First of all, the M53, and then Woodchurch Road heading towards the railway bridge where the train line crosses over. There's a sign pointing to a footpath which goes alongside the railway track, which is up on an embankment at this point. And you can also see, just as you enter the footpath, a huge area of what could be car parking and a place to put the station building. Of course, it'll have to be at a higher level because of the embankment. This is the walkway alongside the railway line. The embankment behind the fence is where the station would have to be, and you can see there's plenty of length for a decent platform here. This station would be positioned between Upton and Heswall, and as far as I can tell, the A552 Woodchurch Road is the only main road where a station could be sited. So to recap, the line from Bidston, the Borderlands line, goes to Upton Wirral, then it would come to Woodchurch, and finally to Heswall before making its way down towards North Wales. Let's go back on Woodchurch Road. We normally travel along here by bus from Arrow Park, and when we first moved to this area a couple of years ago, there was an Aldi here, and we used it for a couple of months, and then they shut it down. So since then, it's just been a building site. Well, it's good to know that it's now going to open on November the 23rd, and it's in a nice area with plenty of car parking. And it's surrounded by open fields as well. There's parkland and Oxton Fields and places to go and walk the dog. There's also a playground for the kids, so one parent can shop while the other one keeps the kids entertained. I suppose in the interest of full disclosure, I should say that we try to leave our cars home as much as possible and use public transport, but when we're going for a big shop at the weekend, we do take the car. That's enough about Woodchurch. Let's just move across a few miles to Bidston Hill. It's a high point where you can see all around the Wirral, across to Liverpool and the other way across to North Wales. This building is on top of the hill there, and it's the Bidston Observatory. The people who observe appear to have moved on from here, but now you can actually get an invite to look round the place. And an interesting point is that the domes on the top do actually rotate. It's a rack and pinion system which takes some effort. It's manually controlled by this steering wheel. It does take two people to move it, and they have to be strong. The observatory is now run by BOARC, and they have various people using the building. You can apparently do your projects here, whether artistic, scientific or whatever, and you can use it for a day, a night, or anything up to a month. I think it's a short stay place for people doing some kind of research. For the members of the public who book to come and tour this place, one of the best features is being up on the roof and being able to see all around. You obviously have to do it on a clear day, but there is still quite a bit of equipment that you can look at inside as well.
Calibrating that. The thing that's like another thing to kind of like imagine about this place, and there's a book on the observatory where you fully understand just like what it must have like to be working here, because
of great interest to me was the fact that they've got a sound recording studio here, which occasionally operates a little radio station. And this was a room that originally contained the IBM mainframe, and I'm told because of that and the type of computers mainframes are, this room used to get really hot. Let's go into Birkenhead now, Birkenhead Central Station, where the trains just come out of the tunnel from under the Mersey. And this is on the Chester line, it's Birkenhead Central Station. The new winter timetable was introduced on October the 9th, and it speeded up the journey to Chester, with the result that only the new 777 trains can run it. The old trains just couldn't accelerate and brake fast enough. I'll leave you with some shots from Bidston Hill, which not only has the observatory, but it also has a lighthouse and a windmill.